Imagine for a moment that every secret of the universe, every mystery of creation, consciousness, and eternity was once revealed to humanity. But humanity, blinded by its own noise and hunger for power, turned away. Think about that. What if the truth we spend lifetimes searching for was already whispered to us, written in stone, sung in temples, and encoded in sacred symbols? And yet, we ignored it for 5,000 years. This is not just a myth. It is a forgotten memory buried in the sands of Egypt, inscribed upon the emerald tablets of Thoth, the legendary sage who claimed to have walked between worlds. Today, we uncover the message he left behind, a message that was meant to awaken our divine potential, to remind us of what we truly are. Stay with me until the end, because the final revelation is the most powerful of all, one that could change the way you see life, death, and your own soul forever. Before we begin this journey, I invite you to pause for a moment. If you feel drawn to these mysteries, if you sense that there is more to reality than what your eyes can see, then make sure you subscribe to this channel, leave a like, and share this video. Because what you are about to hear may not just inform you, it may transform you. The knowledge you are about to receive was hidden from humanity for millennia, guarded by initiates, protected by oaths, and cloaked in allegory. But today we bring it back into the light. Thoth, known to the Greeks as Hermes Trismegistus, was not merely a mythic figure. Ancient texts describe him as a being of immense wisdom, a bridge between gods and humans, the scribe of the divine order. He was said to have descended from Atlantis, carrying with him the light of eternal knowledge after his civilization fell beneath the waves. The temples of ancient Egypt honored him as the master of writing, science, and magic, the architect of time itself. But beyond his earthly titles, Thoth's true mission was spiritual, to awaken humanity to its forgotten divinity. His message was simple, yet profound. The universe is not something outside of you. It is within you. The energy that moves galaxies is the same energy that breathes through your lungs. The consciousness that sustains creation is the same consciousness that allows you to dream, to love, to imagine. The emerald tablets declare, "Man is a star bound to a body, until in himself he frees the light." This is the essence of Thoth's wisdom, that we are not mere mortals trapped in flesh, but luminous beings bound by self-imposed ignorance. Think about how often we search for meaning in the external world, in possessions, in validation, in fleeting pleasures. Yet according to Thoth, the greatest treasure lies hidden within. The ancients understood that to know oneself was to know the universe, for the two are reflections of the same eternal source. As above, so below. As within, so without. These words are not just poetic. They describe the very structure of reality. The microcosm mirrors the macrocosm. What happens in your inner world shapes the outer one. Modern science, in a strange and beautiful way, is beginning to echo these truths. Quantum physics speaks of entanglement, the invisible connection between particles across vast distances, a reflection of the same unity Thoth spoke of thousands of years ago. The Hermetic teachings, once dismissed as mystical fantasy, now seem to whisper the same truth that physics and cosmology are slowly rediscovering. Everything is connected. There is no separation between you and the cosmos. Yet, humanity ignored this message. As centuries passed, empires rose and fell, knowledge was distorted and sacred wisdom became superstition. The temples fell silent, the emerald tablets were hidden or destroyed, and the voice of Thoth faded into legend. We replaced divine wisdom with dogma, and spiritual truth with material obsession. The flame of inner knowing was smothered by the weight of forgetfulness, but Thoth's message never died. It waited, patiently, silently, in the hearts of seekers, in the lines of ancient manuscripts, in the geometry of pyramids and stars. It waited for a time when humanity would once again look upward and inward, searching not for gods in the sky, but for the divine spark within, and perhaps that time is now. So let me ask you, have you ever felt that subtle call, the whisper that tells you there is something greater behind this illusion we call life? Have you ever sensed that you are part of something vast, infinite, and intelligent, something that watches through your eyes, beats through your heart, and dreams through your mind? That is the same call Thoth spoke of. It is the call of remembrance. And in the next part, we will dive deeper into what Thoth revealed about the true nature of the soul, the cycles of rebirth, and the hidden mechanics of consciousness itself. These are not mere metaphors, they are the keys to unlocking the divine potential sleeping within every human being. Thoth taught that the soul is eternal, a spark of divine fire traveling through countless forms, gathering wisdom across lifetimes. He described existence not as a straight line from birth to death, but as an infinite spiral, an ever-evolving dance between light and shadow. Man is a flame, born of the stars, he wrote, and to the stars he shall return when his cycle is complete. These words carry more than poetic beauty. They contain a map of our spiritual evolution. Imagine that every life you've lived, every joy and pain, every triumph and fall, was never random. Thoth revealed that each incarnation is a lesson, a step toward remembering the truth of who you are. The soul descends into the physical world to experience limitation, contrast, and choice. For only through duality can consciousness understand its own power. Through darkness we learn the value of light. Through forgetting we rediscover remembrance. Every lifetime is a fragment of a larger story, the story of your divine awakening. The Emerald Tablets speak of the halls of Amenti, a dimension beyond time and death, where souls rest and renew before returning to new forms. Thoth claimed to have walked these halls himself, preserving his consciousness between incarnations. He wrote that the secret of immortality lies not in the body, but in the awakening of the light within. Man is only dead when he forgets the light, he said. He who knows the light shall never taste of death. Could it be that death as we perceive it is only a doorway, not an end, but a transition? Many spiritual traditions echo this. The ancient Egyptians called it the journey of the Ka. The Hindus speak of samsara, the endless wheel of rebirth, and the Buddhists describe nirvana, liberation through awakening. Modern consciousness studies are beginning to hint at similar truths. Near-death experiences, reincarnation memories in children, and even quantum theories of consciousness suggest that awareness transcends the brain. What Thoth declared 5,000 years ago may not be myth, it may be a forgotten science of the soul. If this is true, then every thought, every emotion, and every action carries weight beyond this lifetime. Thoth taught that thoughts are living forces, vibrations that shape reality across dimensions. What you think, you become, he wrote long before philosophers and psychologists echoed the same principle. He taught that the human mind is not a passive observer, but a creative instrument, a divine tool capable of shaping energy, form, and destiny. Imagine if you truly understood this, that the world around you is not fixed but fluid, responding to the frequencies you emit through consciousness. Ask yourself, what reality are you creating right now through your thoughts? Are your fears and doubts manifesting shadows, or are your intentions aligned with light and wisdom? Thoth urged his students to master the art of mental transmutation, the ability to transform negative vibrations into positive ones, ignorance into knowledge, fear into illumination. Change your vibration, he said, and you change your world. This ancient teaching later became the foundation of Hermetic philosophy, echoed in the Kybalion, and later works attributed to the mystery schools of Alexandria. But why did humanity abandon this knowledge? Why did we stop listening? Perhaps because power without wisdom leads to destruction. The same creative force that can heal and enlighten can also corrupt when guided by ego. Thoth warned that when man forgets his divine nature, he becomes enslaved by his own creations. He becomes ruled by desire, fear, and illusion, the very chains that bind the soul to endless cycles of suffering. The unawakened man builds his own prison, Thoth wrote, and wonders why the light does not enter. Look at our world today, our obsession with materialism, our wars for dominance, our disconnection from nature and spirit. Can you see the reflection? The outer chaos mirrors the inner. The forgotten message of Thoth was never about worshipping gods or performing rituals. It was about self-mastery. To know oneself is to command the forces of creation. To awaken the divine within is to remember that you are not separate from the source. This is the great irony of human existence, that we search for divinity in temples, scriptures, and heavens, while the kingdom of light lies quietly within our own consciousness. Thoth's wisdom calls us to turn inward, to silence the noise, and to listen to that still voice of eternity. For the soul that remembers its light becomes immortal, not in body, but in essence, beyond time, beyond death, beyond illusion. Now imagine, what if every human on Earth suddenly remembered this truth? What if overnight we realized that hurting another is the same as wounding ourselves, that love is not an emotion, but the very fabric of existence? Would we still destroy, compete, and divide, or would we finally understand the unity that Thoth tried to teach us? In the next part, we will explore what Thoth revealed about the hidden architecture of the universe, the laws that govern creation, vibration, and consciousness itself. These principles form the backbone of all Hermetic and esoteric traditions, and understanding them can awaken abilities within you that most believe belong only to gods. Stay with me, because what comes next may redefine how you perceive reality itself. Thoth taught that the universe is not chaos, but an intricate symphony of laws, 7 fundamental principles that weave together every star, every atom, and every thought. These laws, known later as the Hermetic Principles, are the invisible threads that hold reality together. They are not external commandments, but eternal truths that describe how existence moves, breathes, and evolves. Those who understand them, Thoth said, hold the scepter of power over the realms of illusion. The first is the law of mentalism, the understanding that all is mind. Thoth revealed that the universe itself is a thought, a dream in the consciousness of the infinite. Everything that exists is an expression of that one divine mind. When you think, you participate in creation itself. You are not a bystander, you are a co-creator. Thought, Thoth wrote, is the seed of worlds. Imagine the implications, that the galaxies spinning through space, the oceans, the winds, even the beating of your heart, all arise from thought. When you grasp this, you begin to realize the sacred responsibility that comes with consciousness. The second principle is correspondence, the one we already know from the immortal phrase, as above, so below, as within, so without. This law teaches that patterns repeat across every level of existence. The movement of the planets mirrors the dance of electrons. The rhythm of your breath echoes the tides of the sea. The human body is a miniature universe, and the cosmos is the body of the divine. When you bring harmony to your inner world, the outer world responds in kind. Every act of balance within you ripples outward across dimensions. The third law is vibration. Thoth declared that nothing rests, everything moves. The difference between spirit and matter is only a difference of vibration. The higher the frequency, the closer it is to light and consciousness. The lower, the denser and more material it becomes. When your thoughts dwell in fear or anger, your vibration lowers, and you attract experiences that match that state. When your mind aligns with love, truth, and gratitude, your vibration rises, and so does your reality. Thoth called this the art of transmutation, the ability to change your state by changing your vibration. Lift your eyes to the light, he said, and the light will lift you. The fourth is polarity. Everything has its opposite, light and dark, heat and cold, life and death. Yet these are not true opposites, but different degrees of the same essence. There is no absolute evil or good, only varying vibrations of one continuum. The wise, Thoth said, do not fear the dark. They understand it as the womb of light. To master polarity is to transcend duality, to see unity in apparent separation. This is why Thoth taught balance, not denial. The night and day are one, he wrote, and he who sees this knows the secret of eternity. The fifth principle is rhythm. Everything flows, rises and falls like the beating of the cosmic heart. Tides come and go, civilizations bloom and fade, and souls ascend and descend through lifetimes. Thoth called this the pulse of the universe. When you understand rhythm, you no longer fight the cycles of life. You learn to move with them. You understand that after every winter, spring must come, that after every fall there is renewal. The initiate does not resist change. He rides the wave of transformation. Then comes the law of cause and effect. Thoth taught that nothing happens by chance. Every event is born of a preceding cause, and every cause sets a future in motion. To the ignorant, life seems random. To the wise, it is perfectly ordered. Karma, in its truest sense, is not punishment, but education, a divine feedback system guiding consciousness toward harmony. Thoth said, "He who sows ignorance reaps bondage. He who sows light reaps freedom." When you align your intentions with truth, the universe itself conspires to assist you. Finally, the law of gender. This has nothing to do with the physical sexes, but with the two creative forces that permeate all existence, the masculine and feminine energies, active and receptive, logic and intuition, will and love. Every act of creation requires both. Thoth revealed that when these forces unite in balance within the human being, a higher state of consciousness is born, the union of heaven and earth within the self. When the sun and moon are one, he wrote, the child of light shall awaken. Now imagine living in awareness of these laws. Imagine seeing life not as chaos, but as a vast intelligent design in which every experience, every meeting, every challenge is perfectly orchestrated for your evolution. You would no longer feel lost or powerless. You would see patterns where others see accidents. You would understand that your mind, your emotions, and your spirit are instruments in a cosmic symphony, and that when you learn to play them in harmony, miracles become natural. Thoth's teachings were not meant to be mere philosophy. They were instructions for transformation. He urged his disciples to become the laws, to live in alignment with the cosmic order. For when a soul vibrates in harmony with the universe, it becomes luminous, free from the chains of time. He who knows the laws, Thoth said, walks as one with the gods. But there is still one more revelation, one that Thoth kept hidden until the end. It concerns the greatest secret of all, the nature of light itself, and how it connects the human soul to the source of all creation. This final truth is what humanity has forgotten most completely, and it is also what has the power to set us free. Thoth's final revelation was about light, not the light we see with our eyes, but the living, intelligent light that forms the essence of all existence. To him, light was not merely energy, it was consciousness itself, the breath of the infinite made visible. Light, he wrote, is the essence of the soul, and in light all things are born. He taught that every being, every star, every atom is woven from this same radiant substance. And yet humanity forgot that the light was never something to be worshipped from afar. It is something to be remembered within. Thoth declared that deep within every human heart burns a spark of this eternal light, the fragment of divine consciousness that connects us directly to the source. He called it the flame of the soul, the silent presence that witnesses all our lifetimes, all our dreams, and all our awakenings. When a human remembers this inner flame, when he sees beyond the illusions of separation and fear, the veil of darkness dissolves, and he becomes what Thoth called the living sun. Man is a shadow until he becomes light, he wrote. When he remembers himself, he becomes the eternal. Imagine what it means, that the very force that births galaxies and stars is the same force that gives life to your thoughts, your heartbeat, your being. You are not apart from creation, you are creation, dreaming itself into form. Thoth's ultimate message was not about worshipping gods, but about becoming conscious co-creators, radiant centers of awareness through which the divine experiences itself. This was the secret that the initiates of the ancient temples guarded, the mystery that priests and sages sought for millennia, that enlightenment is not found in seeking the light, but in becoming it. He warned, however, that humanity would forget. Our time will come, Thoth said, when the light shall be hidden and man shall walk in darkness. Yet even then the flame shall burn in silence within his heart. Perhaps we are living in that time now, an age of dazzling technology and deep spiritual amnesia. We have learned to master the outer world, but forgotten how to listen to the inner one. We have built towers of information, but lost touch with wisdom. We have filled our lives with noise, and yet feel an emptiness that no sound can fill. Could it be that Thoth's message still waits for us, calling us home through the silence? Modern seekers, mystics, and scientists alike are beginning to rediscover this ancient truth. Physicists speak of light not just as a wave or particle, but as a dual expression of existence, one that behaves according to the observer's consciousness. Mystics have said this for ages, that the observer and the observed are one. You are the universe watching itself, shaping itself, awakening to itself. Thoth's teachings bridge this gap, uniting spirituality and science, the mystical and the rational, heaven and earth. When you realize that light and consciousness are one, fear loses its grip. Death becomes an illusion, for how can light die? It merely changes form, shifting from one vibration to another. Thoth's immortality was not about escaping death. It was about transcending identification with the temporary. He achieved what he called the ascension of the light, the awakening to the truth that consciousness is eternal and that to know this is to be free. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine that within your chest burns a radiant star, quiet, eternal, untouchable. Feel its warmth spreading through your body, through your thoughts, through every part of your being. That is the same light Thoth spoke of. It is the light that moves the galaxies, that breathes through nature, that animates all life. And when you recognize it as your own essence, you step into the same truth the ancients knew, that God is not distant, but intimate, the pulse within your own existence. Thoth's message was never meant to be hidden forever. It was meant to resurface in times like ours, times of confusion and division, when humanity stands on the edge of remembering or forgetting once again. The emerald tablets were his gift to the future, his way of ensuring that the wisdom of light would not vanish entirely. When the darkness of ignorance rises once more, he wrote, "Seek the light within, and the path shall reveal itself." His voice echoes across millennia, calling not to our minds, but to our souls. So what does it mean to truly honor Thoth's message today? It is not through rituals or words, but through awakening. It means taking responsibility for the reality you create, recognizing that every thought is a thread in the tapestry of existence. It means choosing love over fear, truth over illusion, wisdom over ignorance. It means remembering that the same light that burns in the stars burns also in you, and that by letting it shine, you help the whole universe remember itself. Perhaps humanity ignored Thoth's message for 5,000 years because it was too simple, too powerful, too humbling. It does not promise power over others, but mastery over the self. It does not offer escape from the world, but the ability to see divinity in the world. And that is the hardest truth of all, that paradise is not a place to reach, but a state to awaken to. Now the choice is yours. Will you continue to walk in the dream of separation, or will you awaken to the light that has been with you since the beginning of time? Thoth's voice still whispers through the silence of eternity. Remember, O man, that you are light, and light you shall return to. And maybe, just maybe this time, we will finally listen. Thanks for looking.